Welcome everyone, and welcome back to Forward Operating Base Lake Fork. I am Greg Hill. I'm your host of your fishing show today. I'm out here on beautiful Lake Fork as usual, shooting the report. This is the fishing report ending for April the 12th of 2021. Look, it was another great week of fishing. Look, from basically the Easter weekend all the way to now, pretty much been bed fishing. Have gone out to some of the points now and fished basically some shad spawn that's starting to kick off on the points. But the majority of the fishing still is back on the beds. I think it's still the best place to catch a big fish. But let me go down just the report for the week. So, I started off the week kind of fishing the Easter weekend. I had a great time with my family. Took them, kind of blocked off some time and went fishing with them. And man, caught some big fish. My brother caught his versatile best, and it was over 7 pounds. What a great fish for him. I was excited. Now, look, he's used to fly fishing, so if you watch the video, you got to forgive him because he was like way over his head trying to reel that in like he had a rainbow trout on his fly rod. So, I was trying to get him to get the rod tip down and keep that big fish from jumping. But we started off and actually caught the female first, and then we ended up catching the male also. So 2 good catches, really off one bed. And that was one of the places I was just starting to see some good pairs show up. And as the lake has progressed to the spawn, I started fishing up north a little bit, and it's moved down south now. Look, as far as I can tell right now, everywhere I've been in the last week, there's been fish on bed. And I've seen some pairs and singles, and just yesterday I saw some new pairs just doing their little dance together. So, they're really starting to it's still really just kicking off. Some of the males I'm catching now have some bloody tails. They've been on nests for a while. Some of them are, not. Some of them just, really clean tails still. So they're not. They haven't been fed on in a while. I just ended up catching one right over here. I'll put it on the video here towards the end. It's good, 4.5 pound male. So I want to catch the female, obviously, that it's spawning with, and we'll talk about that. But when you're looking for catching these fish, you've got a lot of the males up on the nest. But you're looking for basically what's out here. Everybody wants to catch that big female that's sitting out here in the deeper water. You're not going to see her up on the nest as much. But let's talk about the lures and stuff that I was using, and I'll get into more of a specific on how I've been fishing it. So, look, it's no surprise. You'll see that I've been talking about this bait for a week. But look, I'm throwing a creature bait. That of course my clients come out and fish me, they'll see exactly what it is, but I don't get paid. I don't get paid to tell everybody what this bait is. So look, I'm happy to share when people come out fishing with me, but look, for a little bit I keep this bait to myself. So, but I'm catching probably 80% of my fish on this bait. So what a great, I've been using it for years. It's a great bait, but it's just creature bait. There's a lot of other baits like it. I mean, look, you can go out there and find something, but it's a creature bait. It's basically in kind of like a pumpkin seed and a kind of purplish color. So I had one, of course, and then I'll go down the line. So look, if I can't get it with that, then I'm throwing a white pocket crawl type bait. Everybody talks about those, and you can kind of throw those and you can see it easier. I think it's more jarring to the fish. I don't start off with it, and I kind of move past it. But again, I'll talk about them more in depth when I get to the end of this, kind of what I'm using. Look, I had a customer came all the way up north. We were fishing. He said, "Man, I'm going to catch him on this blue one." And I was joking with him a little bit, like, "You're not going to catch anything on that blue one." And he did catch a couple on this blue. So it's kind of like a blue pocket crawl. So look, the pocket crawls in the nests, it's always been different colors people are using. So some use pumpkin seed. They like the greens, whites and blues. I'm kind of a mixture between a purple and a green color. And then look, so then I move on to the week and talk about the big fish. But look, throwing a big fat green Senko, and I'm also throwing basically a Texas smoke color, like a purple and black Senko, working it in the grass, working the inside edges and the outside edges with it, and kind of that slow presentation. And I'll get to why I do that in a little bit. Look, the Chatterbait again has been catching some fish still. So Chatterbaits, I'm throwing both the jackhammer, and this one I've got the skirt on with a trailer, and I took the skirt off this one. It's a skirt off of the new Stealth one. So it's just it just looks like a minnow. It's got some good vibration when it comes to the water, and you want to throw that parallel to the banks. If somebody's working the fish, then hey, the other person should be out here in the back fishing out here, kind of fishing this area. But I threw some rattle traps this week, some crankbaits, of course. So, you know, look, I've got this crankbait right here. Again, you guys have seen me. It's just it's a thin-bodied crankbait, no rattles, and so it basically makes a really tight vibration. I'm trying to stick in the way. Most of the water I'm fishing is not super muddy, so I'm staying away from the rattles right now. And then if I get out on these points and I'm trying to cover a lot of water, hey, I'm just throwing a good old-fashioned lipless crankbait in the shad colors. You can see it. And I'm throwing, this is what I got bit on this morning right away, is a jerkbait. You can see it's just kind of shad color jerkbait, shallow running. I'm out around a point. There's just a tiny bit of wind. The wind's kind of gone away now, but there's a tiny bit of wind, and there's a lot of shad out there. So those are pretty much the baits that I'm throwing during this week. And now I'll get to how I'm fishing. So look, the story of the whole week is bed fishing. So, you go fish, either go fish the beds or you go fish the areas where they bed up. And even if you can't see them, so if I can see the beds, I'm gonna throw that creature bait in there, and I'm gonna work the fish. So look, I took some other guys fishing yesterday. They caught 2 good fish, and they had been out here by themselves fishing for 2 days, and they were staying at my Airbnb, and they've only caught like 1 fish. And we talked about it a little bit while before I took them out fishing, and kind of discussed where to fish and what I'm fishing and things like that. And they went to the other place the day before, right where I told them to go to, and they said they saw a bunch of fish there, but they didn't catch a single fish. So we sat down and talked about how I do this and how I bed fish. And they realized pretty quick that what they were doing is they were just fishing way too fast, and then they weren't concentrating on a fish like they could, and they were getting too close. So look, if you're going out there bed fishing and you're going to go do some spawn bed fishing here on Lake Fork, like, you got to first say, okay, well, what's the kind of the water clarity where I am? Is it really clear? Is it kind of stained? Is there grass that the fish are going to be hiding on? Is there an inside edge, an outside edge? All those type of things. You kind of look at the whole picture, and then it's going to determine a couple things. Like, one, how close can I get to these fish? Like, if you're going out looking for fish, a lot of times you're going to not see them till the last minute. That's okay. So you got to make sure you have some good polarized glasses. Now, I will tell you, I only use the amber colors. I use the amber color when it's cloudy, and I use the amber color when it's sunny. These amber colors help me see the tails much better. Can see if there's big contrast between the black spots, the lateral line, and the white color of their skin. I see it so much better with these amber glasses than I do. I've tried it, and I had my customers here. We did the same thing. I showed them one, had theirs looked at, and they could see it much better. So I think most of the people that come fish bed fish with me, they'll usually switch over to the ambers, because I think it's just the best color, in my opinion. That's the best color that I found to use. But so, hey, you're gonna go and see how close can I get to the nest. If you're already too close, if the fish is staring right at you, and every time you put a lure in there, it kind of runs off and doesn't come back for 20-30 seconds, look, don't keep working that fish too much. Mark that fish with a GPS waypoint and move yourself down the bank and go look for another fish. You're going to come back to that fish, and then this time around you're going to know where it is. You can stay a little further off it, and you won't get right on top of it, and then you have to make these long pitches. So my customers yesterday were seeing that, I was making 50-foot pitches. We're fishing for a bed fish that's 50 feet away. We can barely see it. We can barely make up the shape. But when it rolls on its side, when it's really starting to find that sweet spot on the nest, when you see it roll over and kind of roll over, to see that white belly a little bit, it's rolling over to put its eye on it. Remember, that fish really doesn't want to hit that lure. It's not eating. It just wants to push it out of there, wants to scare it. So sometimes they'll swim around it. Sometimes they'll headbutt it. Sometimes they'll nudge it. They're just trying to get it out of their nest. This one that I just caught, he swam around it 10 times, and I'm sitting 15 feet away from this fish. The water is not clear, but not muddy. So I can see him. I think he could almost kind of see me a little bit if I moved around too much. And that's why I always tell my clients, like, look, you got to act like you're in a 1960s, early 70s James Bond movie when they're in space and they're moving real slow like this. That's why I do. I joke with the people on my boat, but I do. I'm going to move real slow to see these fish because I don't want to make any sudden movements. Don't wear red. Don't wear bright orange. Wear colors that mix in with the background, the blues, things like that. Don't wear something that says danger, Will Robinson, you know. So you want it to the fish, and then you want to make sure that basically you're not jutting out to them as you're seeing. You don't want them to see it; they'll spook out. If the fish comes right around and calls out and it points right at you and is staring at you, guess what? It's staring at you. So they have forward-looking eyeballs. So you know, they're predators like us, like they're humans. We're predators. You know, we have forward-facing eyeballs. They do the same thing. So when they want to look to the side, like we can turn our head to the side and look down there. They can't turn their head to the side, so they kind of roll up on their side and kind of look at it like that. That's why they do that, I think. So they got to get their eyeball to look down on it. You know, we can look down and turn our neck. They don't have a neck. They can't do that. So that's why you see the body movement do that. So assess the fish now. Is it neutral? Is it aggressive? Is it spooky? And then, you know, basically adjust your fishing for that. And the clients I had yesterday, really, at the end of the day, they're like, man, we had no idea that there was so much to do in bed fishing. Had no clue. You know, they had never done it before. It never worked it. So I was happy to be able to teach them that and kind of see it. So now, you know, look, you assess the fish, choose your lure set, try to work it there. I go with a creature bait first, then maybe the white, and then maybe a big jig. I didn't have to use the big jig this week. I got all the fish to kind of hit on the creature baits or the white one. I didn't have to go ahead and do the jig, so I never got there this week on it. So in this week, I think I only caught 2 fish, maybe, and I wasn't fishing for the bed fish when I was doing that. I was throwing out some tree stumps, so it wasn't like I was throwing the big jig into the nest this week. So assess it, use your lures. And then the people come fish me, you know, there's ways to make it more aggressive. And I hope you'll come out and fish with me, and I kind of share my techniques on what I do for you. But that's a little bit of what you can do to help your fishing. You know, I cover these lures and covered, you know, kind of what I'm doing. But look, Lake Fork, it's a great fishery out here, man. You know, come on out. Again, this big Senko that I had caught my customer a 9.6 this week. You know, within about one section of grass that I knew they bedded in, that I knew we couldn't see the beds at all when we were there, but we worked that grass line back and forth about 4 times, about 150 meters of grass line back and forth, and we got a 6.9 and a 9.6 out of that. So if you see my videos, you can see that big fish. That fish was fat, man. It was just over 22. It was just like 22.25 inches long, and it was 9 pounds 6 ounces. I mean, that's a fat fish. So what a great fish for my customer. Really happy really happy to get it on, and that he could hook that fish in and get in the boat. So what a great time. Lake Fork in general is fishing the spawn, I think, pretty much all over the lake. So the gizzard spawn is starting to happen. The gizzard shad spawn is starting to happen. I'm seeing the fish flickering in the shallows in the morning. By the time that now the sun's up, they're going to push back out a little bit. But you know, look, there's all kinds of fishing to be had here in Lake Fork. I've got a couple open dates here at April, just here at the end of April. If you guys want to come fishing, I'm going to post the dates in a separate post. You can take a look at it and let me know if you want to go. So I guess that's it from Lake Fork right now. Look, I'm having a great time fishing out here this week. My clients are catching fish, so they're happy, and I hope you'll come out and give me a chance to take you fishing as well. I look forward to bringing you out here to Lake Fork. Look, my Airbnb is completely booked on April, and I've only got, I think, 2 days available in May already, so it's already booked. So thank you to everyone who's, you know, booking my Airbnb. I'm getting a bunch of repeat customers already. You know, we've only been doing that for a year. So, you know, I've got a bunch of clients who I had someone that just basically had stayed here, and they've already booked it for the entire month of January. So that part of December and the entire month of January, they're going to be here and come fishing down from up north. So, you know, it's working out pretty well, and I'm happy to be able to share my property with people like that and have them kind of see it. People are already amazed when they sit out there and see the sunset we have, and, you know, have this property right there on the main lake like that. But anyway, hey, I am Greg Hill. This is Lake Fork. I am at Forward Operating Base Lake Fork at my property, and I welcome you to come out and fish with me. Send me a message. You know, send me YouTube or Instagram or Facebook. But please go back and go to my website, www.foblakefork.com. That's FOB lakefork.com. Go to my website. You can see all my social media on there, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. But please go to my YouTube channel if you like these videos. Subscribe to it. I'm trying to build up my following. I can get more interest in more people, and I just love sharing fishing with everybody. So you guys have a great day. I wanted to add 2 things to the report. I forgot to record it early yesterday, so I'm adding it today. It's the next day. You can see the weather's clouded up. Yesterday was a beautiful day. We had a bunch of rain last night. Got cloudy. So earlier in the week, I had a client out, and just a great example of how to fish for these larger females when you're fishing near the beds. So if you realize, and I'll show in another video, basically I'm sitting there watching the fish. You're looking at a bed, you'll see a male on there. You got to realize there's a potential for a large female to be probably within 10 to 15 feet or even closer of that bed, and you just can't see it. You don't know exactly where it is, so you're going to be fishing. When you're fishing for that fish, just remember there's a big fish nearby. So I had a client out in the morning, I think when the females are still feeding a little bit more still, and they're not really buried under the grass because the sun hasn't come up really high. Look, we're throwing Senkos, we're throwing a creature bait, kind of working it slowly through that grass. They're only going to hit it probably if it's worked very slowly. They're not going to chase anything because they're really not in the mood to hunt down food. They're really kind of hanging out near their nest, waiting to do more spawn with the male that's up there. But if the food comes in front of them, they're probably going to go ahead and take a chance and take a bite. So, hey, we caught a 9.6 this week and a 6.9 within a good, almost like a 50 meter stretch of the grass that we were fishing. And both those fish came on the outside edge of the grass, and we caught some on the inside edge the day before, but this was on the outside edge basically. And you just work this big Senkos, the big 6-inch Senkos like I showed, through this area, and 2 great bites. So what a great bite. And then a second thing I want to kind of follow up on was, look, when you're fishing for these big fish, you got to really check your equipment. And I say that by, hey, the rod you're using, the line you're using, your reel, checking your drag on the reels. It's a funny story, but I had a client. He's left-handed, so he wanted to use the left-handed reels. It's great. He had custom-built rods and everything. So I was telling him, hey, I'm a Temple Fork Outfitter, sponsored, person, and so I was trying to show my rods. And he's like, yeah, well, I've got mine. I'm on left-hand reels, and I only have one left-handed reel that I use because I pitch and flip with it. So he was using his, and I think he had his drag set too heavy. We had talked about it a little bit afterwards. In fact, I like my braid. When I have 50-pound braid on a reel, and I've got a big stick, rod that I'm using to put that in there for these bigger fish to haul them out of that grass, I like to have my drag so it's just going to give a little bit. I don't want to just set rock solid, because basically you've got this braid that's not going to give, a big rod that's not going to give. Well, I mean, there's a couple things that are going to give here. You could pull the hook out of the fish's mouth, but here's an example. So we're throwing the baits up into that grass again. This is the same general area that we caught this 9.6 in, and he throws up there. Fish grabs it. He reels down, gives a super hook set, and he's a tall guy, 6'2", 6'3". He's a big guy, big old rod, and jerks it way up. He's fighting the thing, and basically there's a stalemate going on. He's got this rod doubled over. The fish isn't giving any ground. It's a big fish up there, and basically there's about 4 or 5 seconds where they're just literally just a stalemate. Their fish is pulling, he's pulling, the rod's belted over, and next thing the rod just snaps. So we snapped a rod on a fish, his big $400 custom rod that he had, and he snapped that rod on the fish, and then the slack let the fish get off. So the fish did end up getting off there. But just a reminder, check your drags. Make sure they have a little make sure they're not sticking, make sure they're not giving, all that type of stuff. You guys saw the earlier story last year when my friend came down here fishing. He actually broke a hook on a fish because he had his drag too tight. It didn't give, it was stuck basically. So you guys make sure to back your drags off if you haven't fished for a while. Check the drag, make sure it works, and then reset it. What I've been doing is I keep the drag, with some give. So I've got some give to it when I give a big hook set with that braid. Now, if I get a fish, and we had this happen this last time, now the fish gets down that grass, we're trying to haul it over. Now you actually have to, as you're fighting this fish, he gets buried in the grass, you're going to want to tighten it back down now because it's buried in the grass, because we actually had to pull it and haul it through the grass, and basically when it fought, then we could get up a time to the grass, and we basically dragged the fish across the grass back to the boat. So anyway, just 2 stories I want to share that I missed in that early report yesterday. But you guys, there's some great fishing out here. I just found 2 fish yesterday afternoon that I'm going to go back and take a look at probably later today, even though the conditions aren't great. where these fish were in such shallow water, and the back fins were like about the size of my hand. It looked like two great white sharks with their fins sticking out of the water. So really big fish, and I couldn't get up into them. We were kind of running out of the right kind of light, and they were really shallow water and on the back side of this big grass area. So anyway, look, good luck to you guys. Come out to Lake Fork. If you're looking for a fishing trip, give me a call. You go to my website, www.foblakefork.com, foblakefork.com. You guys take care. He already picked it up once. Now, if you can see it, what he's doing, he's just grabbing it with his mouth and he's spitting it out of his nest. Not putting the whole thing in his mouth. So you got to get it so he's really agitated right now. There he is. Whoa, boy. Okay. All right. Ooh, under the boat. Under the boat. Okay. Oh, come in. Oh, man, nice fish. Nice, healthy fish. Oh, look at that boy. See, so you come right up on the bed, and I saw it just sitting there, kind of back off a little bit, and it got set up and really just kind of worked it for what I could. I'm not helping you, get these all by yourself.
You're gonna title this one a handicap.
I'm gonna want you better not break my rod. No, that's your rod. You can break it. I saw it.
It just swam off.
Did it swim off?
Either that or it's maybe that's
Yeah. We're just cushioning it when it lands. Let it fall in that far side of the grass. Let it go all the way down in there. This time, let it stay down there a little bit. Yep. Yeah, just drag it back through there, and then as soon as it gets on the far side of the grass, let it fall down. He's got it. Oh, you got him. Keep it up. You got to fight this fish by yourself. I'm recording.
All right. I can pick it up. It's pulling pretty good for a little bandit, huh? Come on.
You got to get on the boat.
Flipper! Get tired for me, will you?
Dang, nice.
Right where it's supposed to be too. And I got a good hook set on him.
You hold them out. All right. I'll stop it here and we'll. Okay, so this guy's been pretty tricky. He's been, I've got to pick it up 3 times. By the time he picks it, I feel it, because I can't really see him the whole way. And then, you know, he's moving it. I see it move it, I set it, and he's either grabbing it by the pincer, he's grabbing it by the side. He's not getting the whole thing in his mouth. I'm gonna give it a couple more tries of this, and then we'll swap over to the white little pocket crawl, because I can see that a little better.